In 2011, Disney Channel released a little movie called Lemonade Mouth, a movie starring Disney actors like Good Luck Charlie's Bridget Mendler, Zeke and Luther's Adam Hicks, Wizards of Waverly Place's Haley Kiyoko, and other stars like Blake Michael and Naomi Scott, both of which would go on to book prominent roles in Disney projects later, some more prominent than others. Can you believe that this movie is 14 years old now? 14! That's almost 15. Lemonade Mouth was one of Disney's many attempts at replicating the success of High School Musical. And while this movie never really was able to match the same heights of that one, in order to make a big impact amongst kids, it didn't need to. But this movie, to this day, remains one of the most talked about projects from Disney Channel of all time. I'd even argue it's the most popular DCOM that never expanded into any sequels. There's a lot of reasons why this movie is held in such a high regard, 14 years after its release. Some like it for representing aspects of child and teenhood that most things on Disney Channel didn't. Others like it for its relatively mature message and storytelling. And then there's the people that just think the soundtrack bangs. And they'd be right. Truth is, there's a lot of reasons to like this movie and why so many people think it's one of the channel's best originals. And all of those reasons, I hope, at least will be touched on in this highly requested and longly anticipated video. Because, in case I haven't mentioned this before, this is my favorite Disney Channel original movie. I've already started the year hot by talking about my favorite Disney TV series, so I might as well do my favorite movie too. Join me, Mr. Nostalgia, as I talk about the cult classic film that played a big part in a lot of y'all's childhoods, Lemonade Mouth.
Presenting the Disney Channel original movie, Lemonade Mouth. 5 strangers. One fateful day. The beginning.
I don't want to be some random face in a yearbook. I want to be heard.
Of something worth singing about. Bridget Mendler. Adam Hicks. Lemonade Mouth premieres April 15th at 8/7 Central on Disney Channel.
Now, normally when I talk about a movie, I start by talking about the movie, but the roots of Lemonade Mouth did not actually begin on screen. For those who aren't aware, Lemonade Mouth is actually based on a book written by Mark Peter Hughes in 2007. Now, while I do have the tendency to not read the books of movies I review on this channel, I decided that since I like the movie so much and I want this video to be as good as possible, I decided to both buy the book and read it. I haven't finished it yet at the time of me writing this portion of the video though, because I plan on taking my sweet time with the development of it. I just made a 7-hour Zeke and Luther video, cut me some slack, but I do plan on finishing it and referencing it throughout the video. As for the movie, it's directed by Patricia Riggin, who has a nice size history with both film and TV, and it premiered on April 15th, 2011. Real quick, can we talk about how crazy of a year it was for Disney Channel in 2011? It might be one of their most important years. 5 new shows premiered on the network that year, 6 if you want to include Jake and Neverland Pirates, and 8 if you want to include the 2 shows that they acquired from Canada, Mr. Young and My Babysitter's a Vampire. Meanwhile, for movies, 6. Yes, 6, the DCOMs premiered that year. Sweet Life, Sharpay, The Geek Charming, Good Luck Charlie, Phineas and Ferb, and of course, Lemonade Mouth. This year was stacked for new content, bruh. The fact that Lemonade Mouth managed to break through, no pun intended, and become one of the highlights of that year despite all of the competition is nuts. So, let's get into the movie to see what exactly it is about it that makes it so special. Most of Lemonade Mouth is centered around 5 teenagers who attend Mesa High, a fictional school in New Mexico, apparently. These 5 teenagers are all internally struggling with their own issues, and although some of them do kind of overlap with each other, for the most part, they're all incredibly different and are all things that kids around this age genuinely do face. Stella Yamada, played by Haley Kiyoko, for example, is having a hard time fitting in, and although it is true that this becomes an issue later on in the movie at school, it actually starts with her home life. Stella's parents, and even twin brothers who for whatever reason are named Timmy and Andrew and not Timmy and Jimmy, are all geniuses, and although she's not like an idiot or anything, she still can't help but feel like a letdown, especially since her parents are doing pretty high profile things. I think this is kind of funny though, because somewhere in the Haley Kiyoko multiverse is another character that she played, Velma, from those late 2000s live action Scooby-Doo movies that were really bad. Additionally, she's still recovering from a pretty big move, coming all the way from Rhode Island and now being forced to start a school a month into the new year. Yeah, that's a 31-hour drive in case anyone was wondering. Man, I'd be mad too. Right off the bat, we're also immediately able to put together that she kind of leans towards the more rebellious side. Not in a negative way necessarily, but more in a I want to break through the social norm barriers and be my own person kind of way. She's a free thinker and stands up for all the things that she truly believes in. Sometimes a little too much, but we'll get there when we get there. She's super determined to get her message across and won't stop until she's happy with the results, no matter who is standing in her way. I wrote in my notes specifically that she's someone anyone would want on their side and to have as a friend, for the most part, at least. But again, we'll get there when we get there. She really is the heart and arguably driving force of Lemonade Mouth, because what the band stands for aligns perfectly with her values.
Oh, check out the new girl.
Why did bro just immediately assume that she was new? I'm sure it's a big school. He don't know everybody in it. Glenn Gifford, played by Adam Hicks, is struggling with adapting to change, specifically the fact that his dad is seeing a new girl named Sydney, who is 28 and takes photography classes. Unlike a lot of DComs though, they don't go the whole a dead parent route. Instead, they just say that they split via divorce. Gwen is, or at least was, presumably really close with his mom though, which is why this stings so much for him. It doesn't help the fact that his dad at times, in order to be a good partner to Sydney, can be a little neglectful of other duties, like picking him up from his classes. Personality-wise, he's definitely more of a laid-back, comic relief character, and although he never goes full Luther in this movie, he's still on the goofier side. One side story, like a few of the other ones, don't necessarily tie in as much into the band's formation as Stella's does, aside from it giving him a reason to end up in detention and ultimately making the band's success more of a gratifying event. But even still, his story, like the others, were thrown in there to make the characters more relatable to the viewers, and at the end of the day, put them in this underdog scenario that allows Lemonade Mouth's ride to the top to be enjoyable. Not all of the stories are as serious though. Charlie Delgado, played by Blake Michael, simply hates being under the shadow of his big brother Tommy, who was a soccer star at the high school. His parents want him to follow in his footsteps, but he's just not good at soccer, and his passion obviously is in music.
What are you crying for? Tommy's just away at college.
In the movie, yes. In the book, nah, that brother dead. Also, did y'all know that Blake was actually like 14 when he filmed this movie? Man looks older than I do now. Part of Charlie's story is that he has a crush on Mohini or Mo Banjari, I hope, played by Naomi Scott. Nice. Great going, Fried Dynamite. Yeah, that was him all the way back in 07 on Cartoon Network. What y'all know about Fried Dynamite? Fried Dynamite, Dynamite Fried, each Friday. Yo, what y'all know about that? I mean, y'all don't even. Anyway, Mo's main struggle throughout the movie is identity crisis. Her dad is very strict on how she wants her to behave and act, a lot of it being tied to her ethnicity. But she doesn't want to act that way, and instead, I'm not going to say acts like a completely different person at school, but she definitely tries to live a much more traditional high school girl's life, changing into clothes commonly worn by her peers instead of what her dad wants her to wear, or even applying makeup in the bathroom and having a relationship with this dude named Scott. Man, this dude looked like Danny from Monster Buster Club. You know, the fact that my brain immediately went there out of all places for that reference is crazy. I'm built different, bro. Y'all can't guard me. Get out of here. The truth is though, and we see this later on in the movie, but this popular high school girl life isn't even something that she really wants to keep up either. She's a nice girl, she gets good grades, and even on the more introverted side. Well, I guess that's not true. Point is, she doesn't fit the mold of the perfect daughter that her dad wants her to be, and it also doesn't really fit in with some of the other popular girls at school, and her journey throughout the movie is trying to find out who she really wants to be. Perhaps it's a bit of both. Ironically, the character we find the least about is Olivia, played by, man, y'all know who this is, I'm not even gonna. Now, she's introverted and even a little clumsy. She's like Clark Kent, but without the ability to split a city in half. But later we do find out that she's got real issues as well. For starters, her mom passed away some time ago, and she now has to live with her grandmother. Interesting change because in the book, her mom didn't actually die, she just left. Why can't she live with, say, her father, perhaps? Well, that brother locked up. We never do actually find out what he did, and it's not really important. I have reason to believe that her dad was a drug dealer, you know, doing a little push the T action every now and then. Or maybe just some sort of con man, though I do think her dad being a drug dealer is likely the answer. I haven't gotten to that part of the book, though, at the time of me writing this, so maybe they address it in there. But my prediction, full stop, is that he's a drug dealer. So I got to that part of the book. As it turns out, I was wrong. He held up a 7-Eleven. Well, there goes my Pusha T theory.
Don't go away. We'll be back with the Disney Channel movie. We're back with the Disney Channel movie.
Alright, so the movie starts to really take off when all 5 kids get detention for various reasons. Some are pretty small, like Olivia getting caught reading in the janitor's closet, Mo sneaking off with her boyfriend instead of being in class, and Charlie accidentally nailing the soccer coach with a soccer ball when he really meant to hit Johnny Quest over here. The most interesting cases, though, are Stella and Wynn. Stella has a little outburst during a school assembly where she calls out Principal Brannigan for taking issue with her wearing a shirt that says, "Question authority," as we see earlier in the movie. He claimed that the shirt is against the school dress code, but Stella believes that she has the right to wear it because of freedom of expression and whatnot. This outburst wasn't just at Brannigan, though. She was really trying to motivate everyone around her to stand up for what they believe in and not let anyone talk down to them, to use their voice even when people try to have you silenced. This action is met with mixed response. Some people are cheering her on while others are just trying to get her to pipe down. School assemblies are usually really boring though, so at least she tried to spice things up. My absolute favorite detention backstory though is Wynn. In case you guys forgot, Wynn had a history project that he had to present to class, but what he didn't know is that morning he and Sydney accidentally swapped folders. So while Sydney had his history presentation, he has Sydney's photography assignments. And as if this were scripted, Sydney comes in right on time with Wynn's project, hoping they could switch. The thing is though, since Sydney is 28, all of his classmates mistake her for Wynn's hot young mom, including the teacher.
She's not my mom, okay? Are you kidding me? Look at her. Right? Are you stupid?
Man, you know how many times I've wanted to say this to my teachers, bruh? I had some real annoying ones. While this scene is pretty funny to me, considering I hated like most of my teachers, the book version of this is even more embarrassing. In the book, Wynn's dad's girlfriend is actually an artist, and her project that she's working on is one focused on the human body, specifically self-portraits. So, when this dude Wynn gets up to deliver his project and opens up his folder, he doesn't see pictures of an apple or his dad. Instead, you know what I mean? I guess it could have been worse. It could have been his actual mom. But alright, fast forward, everyone gets sent to the basement for detention. But before they step foot into the room, all of them purchase a can of some Mel's lemonade, something that in the end would prove to be vital in the band's formation. Also, you are not supposed to react like that after drinking lemonade. That drawing definitely passed the expiration date. The detention monitor, or whatever they're called, is named Mrs. Resnick. In the book, she's described as, and I quote, "a tiny narrow-faced lady with a body shaped like a piccolo." But in this, she's Tisha Campbell. They also get rid of her smoker cough. I'm enraged. Ms. Resnick's beef is that the music room, like many of the other talent-oriented classes, has been banished to the basement storage in order to make room for the school's new gymnasium. Yeah, the principal is very sports rule and arts and crafts drool, which hurts because I have a love for both. Only on the Mr. Nostalgia channel will you be watching a review for a Disney Channel original movie, not knowing that the entire video up until this point was actually just a setup for an unexpected edit featuring LeBron. Alright, so when Resnick leaves to give the principal a piece of her mind, the students get to cleaning the storage room as she asked them to do. And during the scene, thanks to a series of random unrelated noises happening at the same time, we get our first song of the movie, Turn Up the Music, mainly performed by Bridget Mendler. I kind of want to wait until my song tier list at the end of the video to actually talk about the songs individually, but to give a brief overview of this one, it slaps. It's a banger. I'm assuming most of y'all have seen this movie. It's one of the most popular songs from it. It has a nice chill and still upbeat and positive rhythm that matches the energy of the lyrics, which are mainly about Turning up music? I don't know. I'm still recovering from that LeBron edit. Nah, but this song is great. It focuses on making the best of the situation they're in by doing what they love the most, jamming out. It's a long, extended version of the elevator scene from the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movie, basically. The first one, that is, not the one with CW Casey Jones. Ms. Resnick comes in and interrupts their jam session. At first, they believe they're going to get scolded, but instead, the kids are encouraged to become an actual band due to their legitimate talent, even being asked if they wanted to enter the Rising Star, a talent competition. But most of them aren't too interested in doing so due to a few reasons like Olivia's stage fright, Mo's busy schedule, and the fact that Mudside Crush, the biggest band in the school filled with all of the cool, popular kids, are performing, and so unless they all forgot how to play music or died in a marching band accident, there would be no way they'd win, so they might as well not even try. But Ms. Resnick flips it back on them, specifically Stella, quoting her outburst from earlier, saying that their voice deserves to be heard. And the scene ends rather open-ended, with all members of the band going their own separate ways. Am I tripping, or does Scooby-Doo Mystery Begins have this exact same scene? It did, didn't it? One thing I did notice with this movie is, at least from an outsider's perspective, how similar it is to The Breakfast Club. I say from an outsider's perspective because, well, I've never seen The Breakfast Club, and I know I got a bunch of comments yelling at me, and to that I say, I haven't seen a single Star Wars movie either, so now you have two things to be mad at me for. I say all this to say, I don't know how much of a connection these two films have, if any at all, so I thought I would let someone who actually knows stuff about The Breakfast Club take over for this one. He's a friend of mine, another YouTuber, got his own channel and everything, where he kind of does what I do, only with movies that actually matter, not Den Brother. He goes by the name of Boonanaman. I'm going to pass the mic to him, figuratively speaking, because he does not have an avatar that I can pass the mic to, physically.
As with most coming-of-age films, Lemonade Mouth takes heavy inspiration from The Breakfast Club. This inspiration can be seen in larger ways, with the basic themes of rebellion, or questioning authority as Lemonade Mouth puts it. But there's also small similarities within the narrative as well. For instance, both movies begin with narration that is later revealed to have been an in-universe piece of dialogue. In The Breakfast Club's case, it's an essay, whereas in Lemonade Mouth, it's a letter. And we see the conclusion of both the essay and the letter in the final moments of each respective film. The most obvious reference to The Breakfast Club is in the film's opening moments, where a group of 5 entirely different people meet in detention, only to then forge strong bonds with each other and vent about their frustrations in life. Even some of the protagonist character archetypes are similar. The characters that are most similar to their Breakfast Club counterparts are Stella and Mo. The rest have slight similarities, but are unique for the most part. Stella is the Lemonade Mouth version of John Bender, with a little bit of Allison thrown in there as well. While her motivations are more in line with Allison, with her being ignored and overlooked at home, she serves a purpose more similar to John Bender within the narrative. That purpose being her serving as the engine by which the story moves. In The Breakfast Club, Andrew and Brian have similar struggles, and Mo embodies both of these, that being pressure from parents to be near perfect. Lemonade Mouth took a different angle with this pressure though, and made Mo's ethnicity relevant to that pressure. Now for the more unique characters. Wen is also similar to Brian, not as much in the problems he has, but more so in personality. He's socially awkward and has a crush on one of the girls in the group, in this case Olivia. Speaking of Olivia, she's most similar to Allison personality-wise, but she's definitely the most unique character in this story. The struggles she faces and the way she handles them is entirely unique to this story. Lastly, there's Charlie. In terms of the struggles he faces, they're somewhat similar to Andrew, with him being pressured into sports when he could honestly care less about them. And he kinda looks like John Bender, I guess. None of this is to say that these films are the same though. These similarities are all largely surface level. There are just as, if not more, differences between how the two films tell their stories. The biggest difference between the two films is the fact that Lemonade Mouth doesn't take place within a single day. Because of that, there's a lot more going on narratively. Lemonade Mouth is also intended for a younger audience, so while it does still tackle some heavier topics, it does so in an entirely different way than The Breakfast Club would have.
Yes, very insightful. I appreciate you for hopping on this video, man. Hey, make sure y'all check him out for real. There you go. Gave you a little shout out.
Thanks. Wait, why do I look like that?
Around the 28-minute mark, they all get text from Stella inviting them to a pizza place so they can chat about the potential of the band. And yo, I had this exact same phone, bruh. The LG Lotus Elite, man. That was a good phone. I used to go crazy on Frogger. At the pizza place, Stella reveals that she somehow managed to sign them up for both the Rising Star competition and the Halloween bash at the school in order to get experience as a band, opening for Mudslide Crush. Despite being a little apprehensive at first, they all start to get excited about the idea of becoming a band, even Olivia, who has more or less agreed to be the lead singer and songwriter of the group. After a not so hot start at their first practice, they eventually get things together, performing the second song of the movie, Somebody, performed once again, mainly by Bridget Mendler. This one is a quick tempo but powerfully sung song, detailing what it takes to rise to stardom and ultimately become who you're meant to be. Bridget's performance on this song is great. It's probably my favorite song on the soundtrack, to be honest with you. We also get pretty solid confirmation on what roles each person plays in the band. Charlie's at drums, Mo's at bass, Stella's at guitar, and Wen's at keyboard, with all of them having some sort of role vocally in later songs. About 39 minutes in, word starts to get around that Lemonade Mouth will be cutting into Mudslide Crush's time on stage, and since Mudslide Crush has a lot of fans at the school, they all start to treat the band members differently. Mudslide Crush's two main guys are Ray Beach and Scott Pickett, the latter being Mo's boyfriend, which does kind of complicate things in their relationship throughout the movie. Matter of fact, eventually she dumps him. These guys and their music kind of represent everything that Lemonade Mouth isn't. At least not yet. They're popular, mainstream, they're the guys that people want to be because of how cool they are. Rock stars, if you will. Their lyrics don't have much meaning or depth because they're solely focused on getting the crowd hyped. But honestly, the two songs that they have in this movie, although purposely void of lyricism, actually do slap. They're good at what they do, even if they lack versatility. Things start to take a little turn though when the band has a little run-in with Crush in the school cafeteria.
Yeah, okay. Can't we talk this through?
No, can't talk to me, no.
When?
Yeah.
A little help here, please.
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter, please.
Probably the funniest joke in the movie, honestly. The timing on this from everyone was perfect. Although Wen proved to be useless in helping Charlie, Stella on the other hand ended up being the one to come in clutch. Crazy thing is, after this, she reloaded and threatened to spray 03 Kirsten Dunst over here. If there's one good thing about this little situation though, is that it created a really cool origin story for the band's name. On the day of the Halloween bash, okay, 4 dudes dressed like babies. I don't know who these guys are, but I would keep my family away from them. I just don't trust them. Anyway, Olivia's seemingly missing, and after getting a tip from one of the AV kids, they all, even the dudes, go into the woman's room to see what's up with her. One goes up to her in the stall and asks if she's okay, but how funny would it be if she was legitimately using the bathroom here? Like, there are so many variables on why that would be a tragic situation for everyone involved.
We've got plenty, thank you. Maybe next door?
Next door? What you mean next door? Isn't that just the men's room? Wen passes her Mel's lemonade from Stella's pouch, which once again just proves why she's one of the coolest characters of all time. He then says that they all believe in her, especially him. Oh yeah, I guess it's worth pointing out that Wen and Olivia kind of have a thing. Like, not a thing officially, but it's kind of a thing. So she sips the lemonade, flushes the toilet non-plan, and walks out, ready to get up on stage and, well, Determinate.
Determinate. Determinate. Like it would keep going.
This is obviously the most popular song from the movie. All of you know it. I barely need to talk about it. Starts off slow, then out of nowhere, Bridget starts popping off and screaming into the mic. They all dance on stage and do that little shuffle, yada yada yada. We don't care about that stuff though. Y'all know what I came here to do. I've had this rap ingrained into my head for the past 14 years. I thought learning it would help me get girls, but it didn't. It still hasn't. I'm 6'1", by the way, and let me quit my yapping and wild out for a second and show you how a real one does it. It's Win in the Memphis and music like a veteran. Renegade lemonade, use it to my medicine. Go ahead and try to name a band. We ain't better than reach why the whole world picked us instead of them. People need to be because they feel that adrenaline. Stop. Now hurry up and let us in. Knock. Cause we're coming to your house and people gonna smile with the lemons in the mouth from the real deal. You know how I feel. Why you in it for the meal? We just in it for the thrill. Get down now. I ain't playing around. Put your feet up on the ground. Just make that sound like y'all know nothing about that. I ain't come here to play with y'all peasants. What y'all think this is? Matter of fact, y'all don't even deserve to watch me right now. Cut the commercial.
Make some noise for Bridget Mendler, Adam Hicks, and Haley Keel.
Matter of fact, forget the commercial. We gonna bring it back because I said so. I need help, bruh. Alright, earlier in the movie, the term determinate is defined by Wen as...
It's like, get determined. Like, put on your game face. You know?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is so not what determinate means.
Determinate slaps, obviously. It's a really good song, but what I love about it is the scene it's attached to. The crowd was clearly not expecting the band to pop off like this. I mean, Olivia was raised by her sweet little old grandmother. I know she had all this in her. The most important thing that came from this scene, though, is how everyone loves this song, even the Mudslide Crush groupies. But probably the absolute best part of this scene is when we see this girl who we later find out is named Alex in a motorized wheelchair or scooter dancing to this song. It shows that this song and this message is reaching the right audience, an audience that Mudslide Crush was never able to capture, thanks to their lyrical content not being something that everyone could relate to, or I guess at least find real interest in. But everyone and their mom can go out there and determinate, you know? I will say, as cool and iconic as this scene is, what ruins it is what happens immediately after that song. Like, look, totally understand and even get behind the message of it. It fits the theme of the scene and the movie overall. But like, it just feels like such a departure from the performance before it. Like when I'm watching Determinate, I'm like, wow, these guys are cool. And then they start this one and it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely a Disney Channel original movie. I guess my problem is the execution of it. Like, man, Adam Hicks don't want to be doing all that. The song, which is actually called Here We Go, is probably the worst from the soundtrack. The movie has been able to preach its message pretty well so far without going in the cringe or corny territory. So that's why this song and scene just doesn't work all that well for me. But overall, the whole, party scene is still one of the highlights of the film. I just have this small little thing that I think doesn't really connect all that well to me. After calling out removal of the Mel's Lemonade machine in the basement, and all the other changes being done in order to support the school's new gym, the band's performance gets cut short by Principal Brennigan. But ironically, the shutdown of the performance only made their message more impactful and necessary. Although Brennigan has banned the kids from using the school to work on the band, it appears it's too late, because even though they can't promote Lemonade Mouth anymore, thanks to their resonating music, they don't have to. Everyone at school has fallen in love with the band, and we see this in a few ways. That AV dude from earlier recorded their performance and made a deal with Wen to sell it, splitting their revenue. On top of that, the other kids in the school have been putting in the work to get Lemonade Mouth's name out there via school newspaper, banners, and just overall good old-fashioned advertising. Perhaps the most emotionally moving gesture is when all 5 members see a giant poster on top of their local pizza place, captioned, "Don't stop the revolution." So did they just not see that on the way in? Or seeing that gave them all the confidence they needed to make this band thing really happen. And what better way to make things official than by playing official shows? At a pizza place, but still, what venues you be playing at? Yeah, that's what I thought. We're introduced to another song from the soundtrack, She's So Gone, performed mainly by Naomi Scott. Yeah, another banger. I'm sure you guys know it. If you don't, then just look it up. I can't really play it like that because of copyright, but it's great. Naomi's a great singer. Things are going great for the gang at school, but things do get rather somber when the kids go to visit Olivia at her house to see why she wasn't at practice. You see, earlier in the movie, Wen pointed out that her cat, Nancy, is ancient, and Olivia got a little emotional because while that is true, Nancy was the only thing she had left from her mom, who, like I mentioned before, died a little while ago. Unfortunately, Nancy ended up passing, which was why Olivia wasn't at practice. And although this scene is on the sadder side, one positive thing does come from it. The way that they all came to support Olivia showed that they are more than a band, which is also the name and theme of the next song they sing. And although the scene behind it is great, I think the song is just fine. It's a nice little ballad, if that's the right term for this song. I don't really know music like that. It talks about unity and whatnot, that's cool. But what I do really like about this scene though, is when they're all laying down on the grass, talking about all of their individual problems. And out of nowhere, this is when Olivia reveals that her dad is in prison.
I'd take perfect brother any day over my dad's ridiculous girlfriend.
My dad's in prison.
And the way that it happens too, I will admit, unfortunately kind of made me laugh as a kid because, wait, no, hold on, just let me explain. Okay. She just blurts it out like she couldn't hold it in anymore. And to me as a kid, I kind of thought that was a little funny because it just shifted the entire scene. But it wasn't until I watched this movie as an adult for this video when I realized, oh, that's likely exactly what happened. It's stated in the movie that Olivia never really had any friends. And so this moment here is probably something that she's been wanting for a while. People that she feels comfortable enough around to just let it all out about her mom, about her dad, and she does so revealing that she's too embarrassed or whatever her dad did to even write letters to him. But now she finally has people she's close to, aside from her grandma, to just be open and honest with. So yeah, now that she has them, I totally see why she blurted it out. After this, Wen tells Olivia and the rest to turn on the radio because what do you know, Determinate is playing. I have no idea how stuff like that works, so I'm not going to comment on if that's even possible or not. But I will say that the future of the band has never looked brighter. Everything has been going their way and all signs are pointing towards things getting even better. But if you have any idea how stories work, or if you've seen the movie, I guess, you'd know that that's not what ended up happening. As the Day of the Rising Stars competition approaches, just about everything that could go wrong goes wrong for the band. It starts with Charlie revealing to Mo that he has a crush on her, which of course is met with a not so reciprocated response. This in return makes Charlie really mad, so while he's getting his Andrew Neiman on in the garage, he breaks one of his sticks, leading to this. Oh man, I felt that one. I think we all did. Mo, on the other hand, is dealing with a fever. Wen got hit in the face with a picture frame, causing a black eye after finding out his dad is going to marry Sydney. And Olivia, thanks to a shouting match between her and Wen, has lost her voice. And I remember this scene going around on Twitter, thanks to Bridget's acting in it. And yeah, she definitely killed this scene. Adam did a good job as well.
Okay, no, fine. Go ahead, give up. See if I care. I didn't even want to be in this band in the first place.
Then why did you do it?
For you jerk!
Man, everybody fumbling girls right now, bruh. First Charlie, now Wen. Stella, on the other hand, although in pretty good shape physically, also finds herself in a bit of a pickle. After finding out they're removing all the Mel's lemonade machines in the school, she's decided to protest. And they're all kind of fed up at this point thanks to the conditions that they're in and the weather outside. And yeah, this is kind of over the top, as if things couldn't get any worse. Once the truck drivers try to remove Stella from the truck, things start to get really physical. The cops come in, and well, everyone ends up in a holding cell waiting for their parents to pick them up. Which is unfortunate because Charlie's parents are probably going to think he's a disappointment. Most parents are definitely going to think she's a disappointment. Stella thinks that her parents think she's a disappointment. And Wen just doesn't want to see either of them right now. All of them are in pretty bad moods. But when another beat is started thanks to random objects around them, their spirits are lifted. And yeah, this is definitely a Disney Channel original movie. How loud though. Although I will say the most unrealistic part of this scene is the fact that no one yelled at them to shut up. They all get released and are greeted by their family members. Each scene kind of serves as resolutions for each of their individual problems. Wen embraces Sydney. Mo, although still getting grounded, does get it across to her parents that she's never going to be the perfect Indian daughter that they want her to be. At the same time though, she's not going to be some regular popular high school girl either. She's still trying to figure out who she is, even if she has to draw from both potential outcomes. Charlie is greeted by his brother, who not only is dead in the book, but also his twin instead of being older and away at college. He shares with him that his grades haven't been so hot lately, so in order to ease some of the pressure off Charlie and to show him that he's not as perfect as his parents think he is, they'll talk to them both at the same time about everything that's happened. As for Stella, despite what she thinks her parents think of her, she couldn't be any more wrong. In fact, Stella's mom is proud of the person that she's become, always fighting for her beliefs and being super determined and focused. What good parent could possibly hate on that outcome? The Day of the Rising Star competition is upon them, and well, they clearly aren't super motivated to perform, especially seeing how the crowd reacted to Mudslide Crush's performance.
Top that.
Oh, we will. Trust me.
I don't think I've hated a character like this in a DCOM so much until now. But it's weird because I gotta laugh. Chris Brochu is great in this role. Oh yeah, fun fact, that's the brother of Doug Brochu from Study with a Chance. Just thought I'd point that out. Lemonade Mouth goes out there, and immediately you can tell that the aura is gone.
Trying hard to fight these tears. I'm crazy worried.
Man, she sounds like Dot Rivers. Olivia's stage fright is getting the best of her now, which obviously isn't making the rest of the band any better. This scene is tough to watch, man. The secondhand embarrassment is real. Fortunately though, there's one person who was willing to step up to the plate and help the group out. Lemonade Mouth starts walking off the stage, but then from the crowd we hear and later see Alex from earlier singing the lyrics to Determinate. Eventually, everyone starts chiming along as well, and surprisingly, they even get help from Scott, who has seemingly changed his ways. even being completely okay with being out of Mudslide Crush. And little by little, the entire crowd is singing Determinate for Lemonade Mouth. The aura has been restored. Can't lie, man, this scene kinda gives me chills. Like, it is really, really cool. It must be even cooler for the band to experience this, to see not only has their hard work paid off, but they've truly made an impact on these people. Call me R.L. Stein the way I got these goosebumps right now, bro. I tell you. I gotta say, this movie wraps up very well. Better than most DComs. Obviously, they didn't end up winning Rising Star, but in the end, things worked out for them in multiple ways. For starters, Wen's dad and Sydney do end up getting married, and it's during the wedding that we see Charlie has moved on from Mo. Mo and Scott are back together, and Wen has finally accepted Sydney as part of the family. The biggest thing to come from this scene, though, is Stella chopping it up with some dudes sitting next to her, and as it turns out, he is Mel, as in Mel's Lemonade, and he used to be college buddies with Wen's dad. This scene is kind of weird, and I'd say just a little forced. It kind of starts with Stella introducing herself to Mel by saying the kid up there is your old bandmate. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, because if some random girl whispered to me at a wedding saying, "Hey, that's my old bandmate," I'd probably just say, "Hey, I don't care," but it is whatever. The scene is significant though, because Mel ended up helping the band and the school out by funding the installation of a music hall, so all of their voices could be heard. Man, how much lemonade is this dude selling? He got it like that? We also find out that all the narration that Olivia's been doing for this movie has actually been a letter to her dad. Yeah, I don't know, man. I still think he was a drug dealer. I don't know. The movie ends with Lemonade Mouth, I assume at least a year or two into being a band, playing at Madison Square Garden, home of the New York Knicks. During this scene, we see all the members, Scott included, performing Breakthrough. I would go into detail about this song, but the tier list is literally like right after this portion of the video, so just wait a minute or two. This is a nice way to end the movie, showing that the band has really taken off. Like, really taken off. You gotta be somebody to play at Madison Square Garden. You can't be some random bums. The band Lemonade Mouth is a real legit force in music now. They probably got mad top 10 hits on the Billboard charts. And it's important that we got to see this because, yeah, although you're likely not going to be performing at MSG, this scene and really the entire movie highlights the results of perseverance, staying determined, and speaking up for what you believe in. All of which are things that even as adults, we can apply into our lives.
Are you ready for the premiere of the Lemonade Mouth What's What edition? It's your exclusive ticket on the who,
Check out the new girl.
the where,
I gave Dante our CD. Yeah, and he said we could start playing here.
Excellent.
and the what's what. Behind all things Lemonade Mouth.
No way.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Lemonade Mouth What's What edition with special extended scenes. Premieres Friday at 8/7 Central on Disney Channel.
Okay, so as promised, I am going to do a tier list of every song that is featured in the movie. I don't have my normal setup currently because I'm away on a trip and I'm doing this like immediately after I woke up because I have to, get this out on time. I hope this doesn't affect the audio quality. Anyway, we're gonna get the two Mudslide Crush songs out of the way. I mentioned in the video that they both kind of slap, and while that is the case, it's not nearly as good as the other songs in the movie. So Don't You Wish You Were Us is, I'd probably say C tier. It's not hard, it's pretty catchy, I'm not gonna lie, but obviously lyrically it's not on par with the other songs. It kind of has, I guess, a punk rock, maybe even a Sum 41 kind of vibe to it. And I actually like Sum 41, which is probably why I still kind of like both of these songs. But it's okay, it's nothing all that good. And I think that was kind of the point in the movie, that they're not actually supposed to be as good as Lemonade Mouth. But I do like that they made an effort to show that they are still, pretty talented. And, most of that still applies to the other song that they had, And the Crowd Goes. That one's actually pretty good. I can totally see why the people in the Lemonade Mouth universe like that one. And, and the chorus is, extremely catchy. I think the first song in the movie is Turn Up the Music. I can't put it in the same tier as Mudslide. I'll put it in the A-list. It's actually a pretty good song as well. I think that one is the most positive, sounding one out of all of them in the soundtrack.
if that makes sense. So that one I think is like, I guess, the happy song of Lemonade Mouth. I guess maybe Somebody would also be in that kind of area, but I feel like Somebody is more of the song you listen to if you want to feel inspired, not necessarily one that you just want to just have fun and be happy with. But Turn Up the Music is like a really positive song. When it comes to She's So Gone, I think it's a really good song, but I don't really actually like listen to it that often. Naomi did a great job. I think on a vocal standpoint, it's actually probably the most impressive song on the soundtrack. I will say that. At the same time, it doesn't have a lot of like, I don't know, like re-listen value to me. And I know that's going to make like, you know, some people mad, but I think objectively it's an A, but personally, I kind of think it's an B. Like, I don't know, man. I just, people are going to kill me for this one, but I don't really listen to the song like that. I don't know why. I guess maybe I should. More Than a Band, maybe like lower C. I'll give it a pass because the scene that is attached to is like really good, but the song itself, I'm not really feeling it. And not even because it's like slower. I don't care about that, but I just never really cared much about this song. Next we have Here We Go. Yeah, I hate the song. I had to think about it for a second. Yeah, I really don't like that song at all. Seems like something I would hear in like, it's like something I would hear in like a Twinkle Toes commercial, or like a Capri Sun commercial from like '09 or something. But especially like the Twinkle Toes, it just seems like something I would hear in a commercial. It doesn't sound like an actual song, if that makes sense. The next one is actually my favorite song from the soundtrack. I'm putting it in S. I Love Somebody. Great song. Probably just like on a vocal standpoint, it's probably like the second best song from the soundtrack, in my opinion. The lyrics I feel are very inspiring. You know, because you just got to be somebody. You know, I don't know. It's like it's 9 o'clock. I probably shouldn't even be doing this right now, but I promise I'll do the tier list. But Somebody is a really good song. It's probably my favorite song on the soundtrack to like sing along to, even more so than like Turn Up the Music. Next we have Breakthrough. I don't really like Breakthrough. I'm gonna put it in D, honestly. It's not a bad song. There's just nothing about it that I like, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's proper criticism, but there's just nothing about, like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's a bad song for whatever reason, but even Adam Hicks, his rap in it is just like, you know, it is Determinate. Yeah, it's the most iconic song from the soundtrack. Even though I said there's no need to really like talk about it in the video that I made, there's still not really much of a need to talk about it. Like, it's Determinate. It's like me, whatever the most popular song from High School Musical is, it would be like me doing that, and you know, like, y'all know, I guess, what, the final song? Yeah, that one. Okay, it would be like me talking about that one. A pretty unique song, I feel, for a Disney Channel movie. I can't think of any like from a Disney Channel movie that really even sound like Determinate. It's a pretty unique sounding song. But yeah, no, the rap, you know, was obviously extremely iconic, and the scene itself was also iconic, and the movie itself was also iconic. So that's it. I feel like, are they missing a song? They are missing a song. Yeah, there's another song in the deleted scene of the movie called like Living on a High Wire. I never even talked about the scene. Oops, I should have done that. In the scene, it's a kind of a weird scene too, because it clearly takes place after the movie, because like Scott is a member of the band, but there's also this like weird, you know, scene where Charlie still kind of alludes to the fact that he likes Mo, even though he clearly moved on at the end of the movie. So I'm really confused by that. But they're doing like a talk show or something, and there's like some level of awkwardness in it, because there are actual rumors that Mo and Scott are dating, and then her dad is there, and he's like, "Excuse me," because y'all know how he was in the movie. So then they perform at this like news thing. I guess it's supposed to be, I don't know, like Good Morning America or something, which is actually, I think, where they actually performed once on TV. But they do a live performance of Living on a High Wire. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember the song. So we're probably just gonna end it here somewhere. I hope you guys enjoyed this portion of the video regardless, and all of the video up until this point. We're gonna end things now. So yeah, I don't really know how to transition to the end of this video, so I'm just gonna add in a promo to like split it up. Okay, thank you, bye.
Hi, I'm Bridget Mendler, and I'm here with my friends and co-stars from the new movie Lemonade Now, which is also the name of our band in the movie. And today we're shooting a music video for one of our songs, Somebody. Lemonade Mouth is about great friends, but it's also about really great music.
One of my favorites is Adam's rap in Determinate.
I have to say, Adam has some mad skills.
Yes, thank you. It's when and I'm having same music like a veteran, renegade, lemonade, using my editing. People need to breathe it because they're feeling that adrenaline. Stop. Now hurry up and let us in. Nah, because we coming to your house. Put your feet up on the ground and just make that sound like.
The Lemonade Mouth soundtrack, available now. And that's what's on your Disney Music playlist.
Lemonade Mouth is regarded by many, including myself, to be not just one of the best Disney Channel original movies of all time, but the absolute GOAT of them. I think from top to bottom, it is the best film that Disney Channel has ever made. And while some of that does come from it being based on what I think is a really solid book, on a film aspect, it's still really impressive for the Disney Channel. For starters, one thing I've always felt and appreciated about this movie is that it's like a more realistic, grounded, and relatable version of films like High School Musical. When you look at High School Musical, although I'm sure it was relatable to some people's lives, the vast majority probably don't identify with these characters. And they don't need to. It wasn't that kind of movie. It was never intended to inspire like this one was. But it is still true that the characters in High School Musical live the ideal, perfect high school lives. Troy is the captain of the basketball team. Gabriella is the cheerleader. All right, I take that back. Apparently, Gabriella was never actually a cheerleader in High School Musical. I don't know where I got that from. I haven't actually seen those movies in years. So Sharpay is a popular rich girl, and even the rest of the characters live similar and relatively lavish high school lifestyles. The world in which they live, albeit only really being shown within school grounds, almost kind of operates around them. In Lemonade Mouth, that isn't the case. Those guys are all misfits, all of which are going through different situations that a lot of kids can identify with. Months ago, I made a community post asking people their thoughts on the movie, and this one comment in particular stood out to me. They were saying how Olivia's storyline felt special and personal to them, even down to the sadness and guilt that Olivia had from not writing to her dad. And when you see comments like that, you can totally understand why Disney put money into adapting this book, because for probably the first time, they were able to address certain situations that many young people face in their lives. One of my favorite things about the movie is how well they handled all the characters in terms of setting up their individual plots and ending them, but also doing it in a way where it doesn't seem crowded. I thought they managed to give all of their stories the appropriate time needed, with some obviously getting more screen time than others. And what helps is that these characters are pretty likable too, all having something new and unique to bring to the table. That's definitely the strongest part of the movie. I think the story, for the most part, works. There are some cliche moments that you kind of have to expect from a DCOM. It didn't ruin the movie or my enjoyment necessarily, especially since I've already seen it like a bunch of times, but they are definitely there, and I could see someone taking off points for that. Specifically in scenes like when they're in the holding cell, and like 2 seconds after they have their biggest argument of the movie, they kind of just solve everything by breaking out into song. But at the same time, there are some really exciting moments that happen in the story that are pretty original to this movie. And yeah, sometimes this movie can be really preachy, and it doesn't always come off in the most organic way. At times, it's a little forced and, dare I say, even corny. But I also kind of don't care that much. This is a really good movie, man. One of my favorite things that Disney Channel has ever made. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I also think it's a good adaptation of the book as well. There were obviously changes, but they all made sense for the most part. It's really faithful when it needs to be. The way the story transpires in the book is more or less how it goes in the movie. At times, they literally even take dialogue directly from the book. In terms of changes, well, it's a book, so they're able to go more into detail about the characters and what's going on when they're not at school. So there's a lot of extra stuff not present in the movie, and it's a lot of stuff that just wasn't needed. I say the biggest way they change stuff up from the book is altering certain things about the characters. Both Olivia and Charlie are described to be on the chubbier side, while Stella is apparently really tall, at least for a girl. And there are also entire characters that are completely omitted, like a girl named Naomi, who was Mo's best friend. There's some other stuff that they obviously changed to make it more Disney Channel friendly, like getting rid of the underage drinking, or like I mentioned earlier, not going into detail about what Olivia's dad did, but it's not a big deal. They did what they had to do and made a good product out of it. Now, I couldn't end this movie without bringing up the fact that yes, at one point in time, a Lemonade Mouth sequel was in development. It's been brought up from multiple sources that one was at least being talked about, but eventually plans fell through, mostly due to the fact that they just couldn't come up with an idea worthy enough, despite the fact that a sequel book was actually made. Low-key, I'm really glad that it didn't get a sequel, and for a few reasons actually. For starters, by acknowledging that there wasn't anywhere to go for a sequel, we got to avoid a Teen Beach Movie situation, where they kind of just had to force one out, and it actually ended up ruining the first one in a way. On top of that, I actually think Lemonade Mouth only having one movie kind of just, feels right. Save that franchise stuff for the High School Musicals and Camp Rocks, Lemonade Mouth was always just kind of in its own lane, doing its own thing. To me, one of the things that helps it stand out is the fact that it didn't become a franchise. All it needed to do was tell a story about a bunch of misfit kids who had a dream and a lot of obstacles in their way. But they're able to make it work in the end. And that's all we needed to see, Anything else would just be unnecessary. And in order to make an impact amongst kids, it clearly didn't need anything else. But those are just my thoughts on the movie. What do you guys think of Lemonade Mouth? Let me know in the comments below. As always, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. I'm Mr. Nostalgia, and I'm out for now. Peace.